Our next guest, Advocate Vandana Shah, is a renowned family and divorce lawyer, author, columnist, and social entrepreneur, known for her impactful work in the field of women's empowerment and family law. Based in Mumbai, she has handled several high-profile matrimonial matters and is widely respected for her compassionate yet fearless approach to justice. She is the founder of the Support Initiative, 360 Degrees Back to Life, created to help individuals rebuild their lives after divorce, and is also the best-selling author of X-Files, The Story of My Divorce. Her work has been featured internationally, including in the BBC documentary Invisible Women of India, and she continues to inspire many through her advocacy, writing, and public engagement. Please do join us on stage, ma'am, for the next discussion. Joining her is Advocate Abha Singh. May I invite you on stage, ma'am? Advocate Abha Singh is a distinguished lawyer, social activist, and strong voice for women's rights and social justice in India. With decades of experience in the legal profession, she has been actively involved in several high-profile cases and public interest matters, advocating fearlessly for equality, accountability, and legal reform. Known for her unwavering commitment to justice, she continues to inspire through her work in law, governance, and social advocacy. She runs an NGO that provides free legal assistance to women and slum dwellers who claim to have been unfairly persecuted by local authorities and builders for land that is rightfully theirs.
So much, Tanu, I'm going to have to be very, very quick with this. Sorry. We are going to have the first session started with an absolutely amazing note. This session is going to be even on a higher note because this is about rape laws now. I think even more controversial topic. Before I begin, let me give a very, very strong disclaimer. On each and every day, we come across cases of brutal rapes of small girls, women, from all across the country, some who are even murdered, and a lot of them who never get justice. I've personally met victims, acid attack victims, who never got justice. Their perpetrators came out after 7 years, 8 years. I'm not too sure if that is justice for someone. That is a subjective matter. But at the same time, in our work at Ekam Nyay, almost now on a daily basis, we are getting cases where relationship of 4 year, 5 year, 6 year, 10 year, 15 year, 19 years is being called rape on pretext of marriage. And these FIRs are being lodged day in, day out. I personally know some people sitting in the audience today who are battling such cases. And I think that is a very, very sad state. Abha ma'am, first question to you. You have candidly spoken about misuse of rape laws, particularly in consensual relationships. What do you think are the safeguards that we require today so that genuine victims definitely get justice, but the people who are abusing these laws have some deterrent as well?
You know, if you see the BNS when it came now, 69 of the BNS, it at least says that it is not rape. You know, consensual relationship is no longer treated as rape as it was in IPC. So I would call that a big victory, and I would say justice, courts are also thinking about it, parliament is also thinking about it, because end of the day, there are boys, there are daughters, there are sons. It's not that we'll be anti-men because we also have sons in our homes. So let's be very clear, end of the day, when people say, oh, she's anti-men or she's pro-women, whatever, it is justice what we are all fighting for. So you're very true that the stigma that was with the word rape, at least now in section 69, it is not being called rape. So that is the biggest victory for human rights, for gender justice, for both sides, because no law should be misused. And true, in fact, when there was this case from Surip Pawar versus Maharashtra, government of Maharashtra, which went to Supreme Court. And Justice Chanchur was there on that bench, and he said very clearly that a breakdown of relationship cannot be treated as fraud, you know, that you are having consensual relationship on a false promise of marriage. So it is to be seen that it is inception, that the thing is on a fraudulent purpose, or it was a genuine open relationship which break down. You may not marry. So that is where it is very important. So courts are realizing, and I think the problem that lies is with the police. Because when you go to the police, we expect that the police is going to be fair. And it's not that. It is corruption. It is corruption which is killing us. It is corruption which is responsible for all our agonies. Because if a false FIR is written, why is it written? Like the learned judge said, Justice Roshan Dalvi said that when cases come to us and if the wife has put POCSO, we are not convinced. Even after that, we give the child till the time the accusation is proved. So what I have seen in my 13 years as a lawyer, as an activist, as so many PILs I have done, that it is the false FIR which is done in the police station, and the police are wise enough, they know where it is wrong. But because they know that the other side is rich, the paying capacity, where is the paying capacity? They will put sections like that. In fact, there is a dictum, pehle action, fir section. So, that is what we have to fight for. And I think that is why we all need to come together and say that let the truth prevail. If we say Satyamev Jayate, and when you say that it was a false case, so many times I have tell these men, if I am defending them, that yes, I have got so many FIRs quashed, and I tell them, look, it was a false case, why don't you do a counter FIR? And under the BNS, under section 248 of the BNS, you can file a counter case if somebody has put a false case on you, and the punishment is 5 years. Let me tell you, the men say, no, madam, humko nahi karna, hamare ko chutti mil gayi, that is enough. So, why men, even women? I say, if false case is put on you, have the courage, file a counter FIR. But how many of you have done it? So many victims are here who say, we have faced false rape charges, we have faced false dowry charges. Have you put out a case of counter FIR? It was earlier 211 of the IPC. How many of you have done that? Nobody does. Because end of the day, you just want ki problem se chutkara mil jaye.
Abha ma'am, can I humbly intervene there? Captain Walia's case, which Sadhna Jadhav ma'am shared, we got his case quashed at the Supreme Court of India. Now the apex court, when they say that this is abuse of process of law, I think at least what the court should have done, and I'm being very humbly saying this, not to attract charges of contempt of court, but she has filed not 1 but 9 rape and molestation cases. She has made a complete mockery of law. If the Supreme Court would have slapped a fine of even 10,000 rupees, that would have made a statement. Now, but that's not the point. We have gone to Delhi High Court in the case of Captain Walia itself because 211 cannot be filed by the person who was falsely accused. It is the police that has to invoke that section. It is police that has to... let me complete, ma'am. Delhi police, even though the case went to crime branch, they did not invoke 195 section also, Abha ma'am. They brought that woman to the police station, left her the same day. Same day, ma'am. So it is not... First of all, these people go through excruciating pain for 5 years, 7 years, 8 years to clear their name. They don't have mental, financial or any capacity.
But we need to have it, na? Deepika, if you bear injustice, how? Go back. That's what I said. Police needs to have that pressure. That corruption angle, if it comes that you pay some money and get an FIR done, I am against that. Why should a false FIR be done at all?
Ma'am, when it is... There's my follow-up question to you, Abha ma'am, on that. And I would request you to be absolutely not be mincing words here. You have a lot of police officers in your personal family as well. Ma'am, do you think after Nirbhaya, police भी pressure में है? मैंने कितने पुलिस ऑफिसर से बात की है मैम, वो यही बोलते हैं. In fact, an officer of the joint CP recently told me कि दीपिका जी, निर्भया के बाद हमारी सिचुएशन ऐसी है कि महिला बोलेगी कि गंगा इधर बह रही है तो हम वो मानेंगे और गंगा उधर बह रही है तो हम वो मानेंगे. मैम, so they say 1 की statement, 164 की statement, उसके अलावा हम लोग कुछ नहीं. Do you think police is also under pressure, ma'am, today?
See, thing is very clear that agar koi women comes and says I have been raped, police should take her 164, get her medical done and act immediately. But if you say there's a pressure on police, there are media trials, so many cases are done. I know this family from Delhi. In a marriage, the girl fell down from the top floor. She was trying to take a video because her lawyers had told her that you make like this and then you would get a better alimony. But the mother, who's a cancer survivor at 75, went to jail. The father, who's 85, they went to Tihar. And then, but they had the courage. They engaged me from Delhi and they said, you file a contempt, a defamation case. And the father happened to be, the girl's father was a major general, and it was Times Now. It was our Arnab Goswami had done a media trial. But I managed to file a defamation on behalf of the husband's parents, and you know, we almost won in the court, and the matter is still going on in Saket. So what I'm trying to say is, don't suffer in silence, be it the man or be it the woman. Because the law ultimately is saying very clearly, 69 is so clear now, that if it is inception, if the sexual relationship is based on a false promise of marriage from inception, not because it's a broken relationship. Justice Chanchur said it should not be a heartbreak for which you are penalizing someone which has a punishment of 10 years. So I think what is required is fight back, hit back. Don't take things lying low. And parenting you talked of, what can the court do and what can the lawyer do when the parents are fighting like cats and dogs? You know, when the parents are fighting like cats and dogs, we handle so many matters, and let me tell you, I have stopped going to the family court. I say it's a fish market. My son Aditya is sitting here. I said, if you want to take the case, you take. I am not entering the family court. When it comes to high court, I will handle. So it is all Ekta Kapoor serials which are going on there.
I think on that note, Vandana really needs to be brought in because her specialization is matrimonial disputes. Vandana, rise of these cases and very, very serious allegations. Earlier it was dowry, domestic violence, criminal breach of trust. Now we are seeing innovation so much in matrimonial disputes and charges leveled that sometimes I feel, honestly, I sometimes feel that these advocates who draft these petitions should be trying in Bollywood script writers.
Discussing with Karan just now.
Yeah. So, what's your experience, Vandana? And particularly, you
I'd
should
like to
speak
talk
from
about,
both the sides.
I'll
You
do
represent women largely. But one thing I particularly want to take from you is, you know, there's a perception, and a lot of our judgments are also there, that women do not lie about, but specifically sexual offences. But now in matrimonial disputes, we are seeing allegations of rape on brother-in-law, mother-in-law, father-in-law, chota devar bhi ja raha hai. So what is your experience, Vandana?
Okay.
Can I request everyone to please put their phone on silent, please? Thank you.
I think the family court came up for a reason, and as Justice Roshan Dalvi ma'am said, initially lawyers weren't supposed to be there, but I think it is the first court which decides what happens in a marriage, and a lot of the matters now get settled over there. I'm quite proud of the councillors. They're doing a pretty good job in the family court. And coming to the question of lawyers, sure, there are a lot of lawyers who are filing a lot of false cases, in POCSO especially. There's a matter which has come to me, both my team members are in the audience, where the man has suffered for 7 years and his life has been completely upended. I think someone said, one of the panelists mentioned, that the wife is going everywhere. Now next she will file for POCSO. And this is exactly what I told my client. I said, she's gone everywhere, 498A, she hasn't won. She's put DV, she's tried to get you out of the house, now she will go for POCSO. And unfortunately, he went with a lawyer who said, I will, Abba, borrowing from you, that I know the cops. So meri na thodi hai. You know, they'll never say whatever, but meri thodi hai pehchan. You know, very filmy. So, for 6 months, he didn't get bail. He went underground. He went out of Mumbai. And he called me and he said, what do I do? How do I go? I said, take a bus so that you don't get tracked. So he stayed out of Mumbai for around a year and a half, after which he has got his bail. But his life is completely upended. Are we able to do anything as yet? Not as yet. But I have, in a way, sort of brought some justice for him. For 7 years, that matter is pending in the family court. I haven't let the wife because I am enraged. I have not let the wife get a single penny in interim maintenance. She keeps asking. I keep thinking of more novel ways of moving away that petition. So I know maybe I'm not being fair like my judges here, but I am at least bringing my modicum of justice in that matter. So I think that is where I felt that in POCSO, our hands are tied. And I did ask him when I went out of town this time for a matter, and that was a legal fintech matter that I'm handling, where incidentally the guy is worth about $9 billion. So the wife has asked for, you asked me, what are the alimony amounts? And why I'm bringing up that matter. So the wife has been married, they've been married for about 5 years, no children. And the wife started with wanting 50 crores. Now she's come to about 500 at last count. And she asked me, what are the cases I should file? You know, ma'am, can't we do one POCSO? So I said, we can't do one POCSO because there are no children. You see, now it has...
Vandana, I'll tell you, there was a case in Gurgaon where the woman had asked for maintenance for children where there were also no children.
There were no children. You know, so all these terms being bandied about in the media, you know, aisa karoge to aisa ho jayega. You know, so at that point of time and at every point of time, and I was mentioning to Justice Roshan Dalvi and Karan, I was sitting next to him, I said, I do not take up cases, and that is my fundamental principle of practice. I do not take up cases where the wife comes to me and says that, you know, can we file this, what I call a laundry list of cases. You know, they come with 498 A kar sakte hain, ek rape dal दूं, there's one case where the wife said, नहीं, एक elderly relative है, who turned out to be actually the staff of the house, 80 साल का बुड्ढा है, उसके ऊपर भी डाल देती हूँ एक rape case. I said, you please take this matter away. So I do not, as a principle, take up any matters where these are these laundry list, and you can make out, you know, where the wife has come with this in their mind. And also, I do not take up cases. I want to refer to your custody matters. I do not take up cases 95% of the time. Deepika, you are aware I fight for women. And I do not take up cases where the wife says, I will not give access. If she says that there is a genuine fear, I said, give access, go to the court, give access in the court complex, but I do not encourage where there is parental alienation. I have 2 boys of my own. They're only 3.5 years old. So I understand, I empathize, but since the beginning of my practice, I do not encourage parental alienation. As you know, your father came here and he's so proud of you, you know. And I'm sure if my father was alive, he was an Air Force pilot, he would be proud of me. So I understand what is a mother and a father's love. Coming to this laundry list, there is also, if you recall, 377, which was abolished.
Yeah.
377 was unnatural sex. Now that section has been abolished. And repealed. Let me use the correct term. I'm sitting in a legal this thing, not abolished. And so a lot of wives used to come in that matter and say, you know, unnatural sex hua hai, you know, FIR register kara do. Now that has gone away. So they come up with another mode of unnatural sex. And they also come up with against the young daughter. There's a matter which has come to me where I have got the first remand done, where the wife kept on calling up the husband and saying, ki wife is here in Powai, husband is in Goa, I won't take the name, they're quite well known. And she kept on checking with him that you're there, no, in the office, you're there, no, in the office. Remember, I was discussing that with you. You're there in the office. Yes, I'm there in the office. I'm there in the office. So I'm getting the child there. So don't move, don't move, don't move. So she called him to the door of the office, and she was in Bombay. And when he came to the door of the office, the Powai police was waiting over there to arrest him. They said, FIR darj hua hai Pokso mein. So, and this is just 2 weeks ago. So we are taking up these matters. Like I said, I may stand for women empowerment, but above all, I stand for justice. And I think that is the important point that we have to remember over here.
I would request to be very brief. Sorry for the time.
Sorry.
But very important thing, and I will make a very important point here today. It's been 14 years that I've been working in this space, and people call me anti-women when I'm just asking for justice for women who are genuine victims and for men who are falsely accused. This is not rocket science. This is all about creating a deterrent in the society. Perpetrating a crime is a crime. Falsely accusing someone of a crime is also a crime, and this needs to be punished.
Correct.
There cannot be no two ways about it. 498A was made for a very, very noble purpose. It was meant to protect women from domestic violence. It was given to them as a protective shield, but it is, in the words of Supreme Court of India, they called it, it became a weapon.
Correct.
I see the same thing happening with rape laws. Let me just give some stats, Abha ma'am. Now, in 2019, India में reported rape cases के 50% are rape on false promise of marriage. And we know, as a matter of fact, day in, day out, High Courts and Supreme Court are quashing this case. But the process itself is punishment. My question to you is, misuse of laws basically undermine the sanctity of these laws. When we are seeing High Courts saying ki you have gone to Bali, Egypt, Thailand with this gentleman, and now you are saying that he raped her by giving you false promise of marriage when you were already married, when you started seeing this man. Ma'am, do you not think that there needs to be some deterrent by our courts in such cases where there's crystal clear that it is abuse of process of law? We need to have deterrent for actual criminals. Do you think it's time that we have deterrent so that laws are not?
Deepika, you're very right. In fact, recently I was reading this case where the woman was already married and she tried to put rape and like that is false promise of marriage. But that was IPC. Now BNS luckily doesn't have it. But yes, the Supreme Court said you were married and this law is not applicable to you. Then how did the police register that FIR? So the court should have taken the IO to task. And at times when I'm in the High Court and I'm pursuing a case of quashing of FIR, I tell the Lordship, I said, Lordship, pass a stricture against the cop, let them be accountable, why did they put a false charge? So that is where the crux lies, is that law should not be misused. And I absolutely agree that one false case destroys the cause of 100 genuine cases. And when we talk of 498A, I got 13 FIRs from one family quashed recently in Bombay High Court, and the word which Supreme Court used was that 498A is being used as legal terrorism. And that case law I put before the learned bench. And but again, I would say again and again, why was 498A got? Because you were having dowry deaths. Even today, NCRB figures say 6,491 women are being burnt every year for dowry. Not, reported. There will be many more than that. But I'm trying to say, how many men have been burnt for dowry? No. So there have been women who have been facing struggle. So you have to, and that is why the law was made to protect them. Of course, rape also, we know very few cases are reported because of the stigma attached to it. People keep quiet and the trial. And what you said about the false cases, the conviction rate in rape cases is barely 29%. And at least 40% of these that are not convicted are these false promise of marriage. So courts are vigilant. Courts are vigilant. When women come and you say that laundry list, they say we want that. I tell these in the High Court also, listen, don't make it like this that you are just a money grabber. Let the judge not have the perception that you are only there for money. And I tone it down and I say, you've come for justice, stick to that. Your alimony or maintenance is just a byproduct. You've come for justice. So the judiciary, as Justice Sadhna Jadhav said, is the last mile for any person, and justice does come from the courts. I remember even in the Salman Khan hit and run case, when we got 5 years imprisonment in the session court, he virtually wept in the court. And I told them, I said, look, you may have the best of the lawyers, but if I'm wearing my kala coat, I know I have strength. So there are people who are fighting for you, and misuse is done when people misguide the complainant. That you put this case, you put that case. Who puts it? We all know. Who has filed the FIR? We all know. So then action should be taken at the place where the wrong FIR is written, and there we don't, because we don't want to mess up with the cops, we don't want to mess up with anyone, we want to play safe. The day you decide not to play safe and fight, I am telling you, custodial deaths have gone down. Recently, 13 people have been penalized in Tamil Nadu for that Benix case. So, you know, people are fighting out. So the NGO, especially ACOM, you're doing whatever work you're doing is good, but there are people from women's side also, you know, let us not make it a man-women thing. Yeah. You know, it has to be justice, and the police should also know that if you're filing a false case, even after Nirbhaya, when it came 166A of the IPC, that a cop, if he doesn't register a case, he would be put behind bars. So that was the time they got scared. You get a section of 166A which says that if a cop does not register an FIR pertaining to rape or sexual harassment, he can be put behind bars. So that time we kept quiet. Did we come out and say, no, let us not have this section? But naturally, when you put something there, a cop is going to be worried about his job. Then you have the media trial coming on him. So the totality has to be seen. The day we decide that it has to be fair, it has to be truth, it has to be justice, things are going to be good. Why are lawyers getting such high fees in Supreme Court? It's bizarre. It's bizarre. Government has paid barely 60 crores in a year, government has spent, but private companies have spent 63,000 crores on litigation. So just see, it's become an industry. Justice has become an industry which needs to be checked. And that is where we should be talking about. It is no longer a poor man's right. It's only a rich man's paradise. That is what we should talk about. And that is where we need to stand up and come together. If I'm standing on a platform which you say is anti-women, I would say no. I'm standing on a platform which is actually being the voice of the voiceless. And the voiceless can be a man, voiceless can be a woman, voiceless can be a child. So we are here together to be the voice of the voiceless and ensure that justice comes to all.
Thank you so much. That was really powerful, Ava ma'am.
Just
Very quick,
want to
Vandana.
add,
Very quick. We are
my God, telling a lawyer to be quick is like, you know.
Sorry, but
I just want to say, I just want to wrap up by saying, I think also the huge figures of alimony, and you know, I fight for women all the time. And alimony also came in as a support for women. But this greed for alimony, Abba, I'm borrowing your word, is what is also causing this great situation where women say, let's put all these. So perhaps it's also time for all of us, you know, to take recognition of the fact that we are all also responsible for that. And also, you know, let's not look at POCSO as just a means of punishing the man, because your child also suffers. And I was speaking with Karan here, and I said that one thing in child custody, I do a lot of Bollywood matters, none of them have ever fought over child custody. It has been smooth. Never has a case happened where the actor husband or the actress wife says, don't give access to the child. So I'm very proud about that, you know, I've helped to maneuver that. And also, I have never ever filed a false case whenever there is anyone in Bollywood involved. So I'm also, you know, contributing in my own little ways to justice. That's what I wanted to put forward.
Thank you so much, Vandana.
So many of you are here, you come on a Sunday, so that means activists, targeted, focused, you want justice. One word, get it removed from the part, is that alimony should be equivalent to the lifestyle. Get that word removed and half of the alimony and maintenance would go, because you say lifestyle, then you make a case saying my lifestyle was this, 2 holidays abroad, traveling first class, traveling business class. So let it be need-based. So that word lifestyle, file a PI saying that this word needs to be removed from the part.
Ma'am, none of our
I don't agree.
Baba ma'am, none of our PILs are heard. None of our PILs get heard.
I don't agree with that, because there are a lot of women also who genuinely suffer. There was a huge case of an industrialist who is worth close to $5 billion, and he wants to leave his wife paying her only paying. So what? So what?
Actually,
but removing that,
it's-
it is not fair. Because the women have given 30 years. No, they have given 30 years of their life to this. No, 30 years of your life you give to this man, and then he decides that he is going to only pay you 5 crores, and he is worth. And he's worth what, $5 billion?
I'll
No,
tell you.
I'm sorry, I don't
Vandana,
agree. That is a debate for another time.
I will
That is a
share. I will
debate
share
for another
something. I will
time.
share something, and that's really important. I personally feel so. I think extremism is wrong on any side.
Absolutely.
Whether it is women's rights activist or it is men's rights activist, to be blind to the problem that the other person or the other community or the other gender is facing, I think is the reason for these problems in the first place. People suffer. There is no one formula that fits all. I mean, I will tell you, just day before yesterday, I had to block someone, and that person said that my mother has filed domestic violence cases on my father, who is in ICU, is 78-year-old. I said, how long is the marriage? Said 50 years. And I said, so what does your mother have? No, she has nothing. She has not contributed anything. I built my father's business. I brought it back. And I said, your mother doesn't deserve anything? The moment I asked this question to him, he said, you are not an activist. So, there are people who take advantage in any situation. There are men who take advantage. There are women who take advantage. I've always said this on all my platforms. Men have taken advantage of the social privilege that they have got from the society for the longest of time. Now women are taking advantage of the legal privilege that has been given to them. It is a check and balance that we need on both the sides so that these issues can get resolved. Thank you so much to both of you.
Thank you.
And may I request Karan Oberoi on the stage, and let me take an opportunity to say this myself, to give a token of appreciation to our panelists here. Karan is one person from cinema. Karan is one person from the entertainment industry who has spoken very vociferously against misuse of rape laws, especially in consensual relationships. In this cancel culture, it means a lot for anybody with a face and name to speak on social issues. But Karan has been very candid. Thank you so much for coming today, Karan. Thank you so much for being on this platform, please.